It's Kelly here, and we're going to talk today about cooling off. Okay. And I think this is super important because sometimes when we get triggered, it's really hard to bring ourselves back to peace, right? And that's really what the soul wants, what the heart wants is for us to be able to find our way back to peace. So if there's a way that this can help you do that, then I'm game for sharing what I have learned with you. So let's start with the red zone. So the first thing about the red zone is recognizing when you're there. Okay. So it's a good practice to every morning in the beginning of your day to just kind of get yourself centered, right? So that your physical body feels relaxed and peaceful. And emotionally, you're in this place of peaceful contentment. And mentally, you have a clear mind, right? So that whatever comes up before you, you can recognize, oh, this is giving me an opportunity to choose either love or fear, right? And then you can just simply make your choice and go about your day, right? So, and when we have a clear mind, we have the ability to do that, right? So if you were to have a practice in place where every day you're kind of starting in that place of relaxed body, content emotions, and clear mind, then the moment that something comes up that's not in alignment with that, you would be able to notice, right? So for me, when I go into the red zone, I will immediately notice that there's stress and tension in my physical body, whether it's in my neck or my shoulders or my stomach, right? Or I might even notice I'm not breathing as fully, right? My breath becomes really short and shallow, or I may notice that my heart starts pounding or whatever it is, right? But my body is no longer relaxed. Emotionally, instead of being in that place of peaceful contentment, there's hurt or anger or sadness or overwhelm or frustration or whatever it is, right? But it's not necessarily contentment, right? And you can notice that immediately, right? And the mind, right? So when we're in that place of a clear mind, we're just kind of present to what's happening in the moment, right? And we're recognizing, oh, everything that happens is a choice. I can choose love or I can choose fear. Which am I going to choose? Well, love sounds good, so let's go this way, right? But when we get triggered into the red zone, all of our choices seem to disappear, right? Because we are literally wrapped around the axle, and it's all of these fears and doubts and limiting beliefs, and it just keeps rolling around the head, and we just keep wrapping more emotion around it, and our body gets more and more stressed. And ta-da, we're in the red zone, right? So the first step in cooling off is actually recognizing that we're in the red zone and that something needs to change. Okay. So the minute that you recognize that you are in the red zone, you actually lift up into a spiritual place where you can observe what's happening with the body, the emotions, and the mind. And you're no longer trapped in the body experiencing these thoughts and emotions, right? So once you kind of lift up into that spiritual place and you're kind of observing what's happening with the body, the emotions, and the mind, then you can ask yourself this very simple question. What is the outcome I desire here? Right? Because that simple question is going to get us back on the path of love. Okay. So as soon as you recognize that you're wrapped around the axle, you've gone into the red zone, and you stop and ask yourself, all right, what is the outcome I desire here? And typically what you're going to want is you're going to want to feel peaceful and loved, and or you might want enlightenment in the moment, or to feel at one with this person that you're, feeling at odds with, or whatever it is, right? So once you get clear about what it is that you truly desire in the moment, then it's going to become clear, like, can I affect that change right here and right now? And sometimes you can, right? Like if you've really stepped up into that place of the spiritual observer, maybe right then and there you can, right? And if you're still kind of a little bit wrapped around the axle, you might need to give yourself a timeout, right? Like give yourself a break, leave the situation for a minute. You might need to go for a walk, or go to, if you have an altar in your home, go to your altar and sit and pray or meditate or or whatever it is that helps you come back to your center, right? But then once you're feeling centered again, then you can actually talk it through with the person using this phenomenal tool called the feedback wheel. And the feedback wheel was actually developed by Janet Hurley, and I think it is beyond brilliant and so very helpful, because it gives us a template for communicating when we're trying to resolve a conflict. Okay, so if resolving conflict is, kind of a challenging thing for you to do, you're going to want to listen close and maybe even take some notes. Okay, so there's 4 steps within the actual feedback wheel. And these are the 4 steps. The first step is you just state what happened. These are the facts, right? The second step is, this is what I made up about what happened, right? So this is all about your thoughts, like what came up for you, this thing happened, and then this is all the stuff that I made up about it, right? And then the third part is, these are my feelings that came up based on what I made up about it, right? So this thing happened, and then I made up all this stuff, and then I started attaching all of these feelings to it, right? And this process actually is a very intimate process, because it allows the person who you're sharing with to actually see inside you and be able to see what's occurred for you and why it is that you're reacting the way that you're reacting, right? So it actually creates a lot of closeness. And then the 4th step to the feedback wheel is saying, this is what I'd really like to happen, right? So this is where you take the outcome you desire and you put it into words, and you let your person know, this is what we need to do in order to heal this, or this is what I'm asking from you to help me in my healing of this. Okay. And it's very, very powerful, because it's putting into words exactly what is needed to repair the situation right here and right now. Okay, so there's a couple of caveats in doing this. Okay, so I want to kind of give you an example. Okay, so I'm going to do this situation, and this actually happened to me a few months ago. Okay, so let's say I'm talking to my friend. Okay, so what happened was, I had asked you for something, and the next thing I know, you were yelling at me and telling me that you didn't want to be friends anymore. So what I made up about that is that you don't even know me, like you don't understand me, you don't see me for who I am, you don't know my heart. And the way that I felt about that was, I felt hurt, and I felt abandoned, and I felt unloved, and I felt unsafe. And what I really want from you is my loving friend who gets me and sees me and accepts me, warts and all. Okay, so you can see how I kind of worked through that process. And you may have noticed that when I went into the feeling part, I really shared feelings, right? I didn't share my judgments about how I felt or my judgments about how they made me feel or anything like that. I took complete responsibility for this is how I felt about that. And I actually felt myself getting a little verklempt, right? Because that emotion's very real. And the beautiful thing is when you use the feedback wheel with somebody, they do see you, they do get you, they do understand why you reacted the way you did, or why you felt the way that you did based on how they were acting, right? So hopefully this all makes sense to you and will be very helpful to you, because we happen to be in this time period right now, in the way that the planets are aligned, you know me in astrology, but we're actually being called to communicate at our highest level, right? And so whenever the universe calls for us to communicate at our highest level, it usually ends up giving us lots of opportunities to practice that, right? So you may have noticed, like in the last couple of weeks or so, you've had like a ton of really frustrating things happen, and you're like, what the heck is going on? Like, here I am thinking I'm like all spiritually ascended and on my path, and now I'm like wanting to choke people, right? It's not you. It's the universe providing us opportunities to communicate from this highest place, right? So you might want to look back over the last, 2 to 3 weeks and notice, how have you done? Have you been doing a good job of really communicating your truth from your highest place? Or have you been sinking into the red zone and getting caught up in the illusion that they're attacking you or that they're hurting you in some way? Okay, neither one is good or bad or right or wrong. They're just opportunities for us to grow and learn and become who we came here to be, right? Like, we came here to be these amazing spiritual beings enjoying our heaven on earth, right? So if that's not been your experience over the last couple of weeks, then maybe you can apply some of the things from this video and turn things around. And of course, if you need my support, just reach out. We'll do a one-on-one session, and I'm here for you if you need me. So I hope that this helps you to cool off. And I know it seems a little ironic with a big cold front about to come through, but oh well, there's irony for you, right? All right, well, I love you so much. Thanks for hanging out with me for this little bit. I hope it was helpful. Leave me some comments and let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you soon.